The Hall of Shores welcomes you back to continue on our journey. I thought maybe it would be another peaceful year, but I was proven wrong. It did not take long for our population to explode, wonders to be discovered, and enemies to come forth. Let us waste no more time and let's get into the story. Now, to start off, we created a barracks for our melee infantry. We were still gearing them up and supplying them with recruits, but we did need a place for them to train and store their gear. Like I said, we didn't have many weapons or many pieces of armor, so we went ahead and started to put in some work orders for some. Gearing up our dwarves with metal armor is very, very important. But to get metal, we did need to get more production when it came to metal, so we started to dig around and poke and prod and try to find this magma pool. Our dwarves got sent off into different directions to try to find warm stone. And eventually we hit it. Now, with this magma pool discovered, we were able to go in and put magma smelters in and put magma furnaces in, which would greatly increase our production of metal, allowing us to smelt and refine and craft without having to burn wood from the surface, which we already don't have a lot of. So we cleared out a large room and we started to punch holes in the floor below to have access to the heat from the magma. Placing our workshops over them, we were now in business. This allowed us to completely demolish and disassemble our upper crafts room, moving all of our anvils, our stockpiles, and our production down below to the magma. I decided to go ahead and put a dining room in. Our dwarves working down there were almost 150 floors below where we started at, so they did need food down there. Early summer, we did have some human traders come. We also had our very first artifact, which was a large gem, a red zircon. So after we built a temple and dedicated that temple to the Order of Dusk, which was gaining a lot of worshippers within our fort, we had to elect a priest, and I also went ahead and threw the new artifact in there, which greatly increased the value to over 10,000, which made this a temple complex. After that, we went ahead and appointed a new priest for this temple. The mountain homes came back and said that we were now an official land of the realm, allowing us to appoint a baron, which obviously our expedition leader had been filling in for that role anyway, so we're going to go ahead and appoint him. Upstairs, we added a few more instruments to our tavern to try to bring in some guests, which we were not getting a lot of at this point. Mid-autumn, all hell broke loose when a weremole child attacked our fort, sending our soldiers up to the front gate where the beast was trying to get into the fort and wreak havoc amongst our dwarves. Thankfully, some trader, caravan, merchant guys ended up stomping out the beast. Now, a couple of our dwarves did get bit. That would mean in the next moon phase, they would become weremoles themselves. With our gem cutter getting bit at least 8 times, we went ahead and expelled a clothes maker, and then we ended up locking up at one of our cooks that got bit in the hospital. The gem cutter also had no family members, so it was very easy to expel her and get her away from the fort. And with the cook trapped away, she could safely transform into a weremole all she wants. She will be stuck in that little room. Next, we had a thief goblin enter the fort. He did not last long as the bunch of dwarves absolutely obliterated him. And again, the cook transformed into a weremole. I kept trying to get my marks dwarves to go down there and end her, but it seemed like they just didn't want to move, and I could not understand why. They did have weapons and bolts, but she would transform back into a human before I could even get people down there to get rid of her. Finally, though, I did end up getting them both down there on a station order, and when she transformed, I set them to a kill order. Now, this Marks dwarf went 25 for 25, piercing the weremole every single shot. It was bleeding out. It had no hope. And then our Marks dwarf ran out of bolts. Running off to find more, that is when the weremole transformed back into a human, regaining its full health and losing all injury. While I waited for another transformation, we went ahead and made another barracks room for our Marks dwarves. We also added about 20 bedrooms for our growing population. We were currently around 55 dwarves, which is up from 17 at the start of the video. With the weremole transforming back, I could not get my Marks dwarves to act on any of my commands. When she transformed, I figured this was as good a time as any to just go ahead and expel her. She was a single family member, so it was just her that had to leave. And then some elf merchants showed up, and this was very, very exciting to me because with them they brought a giant black bear. Now this black bear was soon to be a weapon of war for the Hollow Shore dwarves. I quickly threw him in front of our front gate where our dogs used to patrol before they were killed. And quickly he saw his first taste of combat. Two thieving dwarves decided to march right into the front gate where they were promptly met with our giant black bear, causing the second dwarf to run in a panic after seeing its friend absolutely dismantled by a giant bear. The bear had taken her friend's leg and shook her from side to side until she was no longer alive. And with his first kill, we promptly named him Grimfang. Soon after, in late summer, we decided to send off our fully staffed and fully iron-geared dwarves on their first mission. Now, we decided to go raise a nearby village that had less than 10 people as a quick, easy campaign. Upon their return, we found that it wasn't goblins that actually held the camp, but an undead dwarf, which we couldn't manage to kill. He kept getting back up. And the loot honestly wasn't that good either. One iron anvil did come of it, which we will put to good use, and a copper bookcase for our future library. Back underground, we worked on a couple guild halls, and also a few more temples, using artifacts that we built and putting them on pedestals to increase the value of each room. The fortress was now bustling with over 92 members. Obviously, we kept having to add more bedrooms for our growing population. With an increase of idle hands, we decided to go ahead and start polishing up our main floors, making our dwarves much, much happier. Not knowing just below them, a forgotten beast had entered our realm and hunted like an alligator under the water, taking out multiple crundles. The Forgotten Beast was the least of our worries as a vile force had entered our lands from our border. 8 goblins and 2 kidnapped dwarves marched upon our fortress. They were goblins, but they were pretty skilled foes, and 2 dwarves falling in behind them, obviously brainwashed to fight their own kin, did worry me a little bit. Quickly they descended into our trap hallway. This was the only entrance into the fort. As they went through the hallway, they were cut down quickly by copper blades. Stonefall traps crushed their bones and their skulls from above. And yet they still rushed in, the dwarf leading the way. The skilled dwarf had evaded all of our traps so far. It was almost like he recognized his kin's handiwork. With goblins being cut down all around him, the dwarf charged forward until a serrated blade caught his shoulder and ripped the tendons off, making him drop his weapon in the process. And soon after, he was caught by more axe blades, unsuspecting while he was injured. The goblins, upon seeing his body as they entered that hallway, decided to run, getting cut down on the way out also. And with the easy victory that our trapped hallway provided, we sent out a cleaning crew to go pick up any weapons and armor that our foes had left, and also to go bury the bodies. The Hall of Shores stands 1 year older. There is still a lot for us to do, and I'm very excited about it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. You're going to be seeing the other episodes and some other videos I've done on Dwarf Fortress right here on the screen, along with the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this content or would like to see more, please hit that, and also hit the like. It helps me out a bunch, being that I am a smaller YouTuber. I do really appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.